So you've got the religious versus the secular, the sacred and the profane. The sacred one's pretty straightforward. If you're religious, if you believe in a God, how should you live your life? You love and serve God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength in everything that you do. There are people who will say, I'm religious, but not too religious. Well, then you're not religious. You're secular. You either believe or you don't. If you believe, then you have a meaning. It's built into you. What's your meaning? What's the purpose of life? To serve the Creator. What's the purpose of a vase? To serve the Creator, the person who made it. What's the purpose of a building? To serve those of us who make it. If you're created, what's your purpose? To serve the Creator. It's natural, it's normal, it's obvious. If you don't believe in a God, then you're secular. So you got the sacred and the profane. If you're secular, then you've got these different avenues of people competing for trying to explain a meaning for life. Freud is going to say the meaning of life, there is no, any secular version is going to say there's no such thing as a meaning of life or a purpose of life. You've got a function of life. And that's, again, another philosophical distinction. Freud says that the function of life is to make more of us. So that's why Freud is obsessed with sex. He believes that everything is about procreation. He believes that, I'll leave it at that. So for him, it's all about procreation. Nietzsche, it's all about the natural world. Accumulate as much power as possible. Become the strongest version of your species. You've got Frankl. No, there isn't really any meaning at all. There's only meaning that you give it. It's the only meaning that you attach to it. For some people, this is going to be very, they'll be satisfying. It's like we were talking yesterday about a diamond. If I come in here with a big giant, like 1 pound diamond, I don't know, and I would ask you, so what do you think this thing is worth? And you guys might be like, dude, that's worth like $100 million. Really? Huh. So then I ask you guys, anybody want to buy it? We don't have $100 million. No, okay. So then I go on eBay or whatever, and I put the diamond up there, and nobody offers me $100 million. I travel to Saudi Arabia, I go see the king and the princess, and I go, I've got this diamond. I'm going to sell for $100 million. And they're like, we'll give you 10. 10? Dude, this thing's worth $100 million. Is it worth $100 million? No, it's only worth what someone's going to pay for it. That's it. Is it worth, if I go to a Saudi prince and I go, hey, I'll sell this to you for 10 million then. And he's like, I'll give you 8. Forget that. I go to the king. Would you buy it for 10 million? Yeah, I'll buy it for 10 million. Now it's worth 10 million. It's not worth 100 million. It's only worth what someone will pay for it. In other words, it doesn't have inherent value in itself. This is a view that says that you have inherent value and that there's inherent meaning. In other words, it's built into our being. Not just our doing, but our being. This one is more about doing. And so there's a meaning of life. There's no a meaning of life. There's a meaning of life that you attach to it in the same way that the diamond has value that you attach to it. But there's nothing inside of the object itself that's worth 10 million. There's nothing inside the life itself that makes us valuable and worthwhile. And that's difficult because that means you live in a world in which you constantly have to make yourself valuable and worthwhile. Now, how you do that, of course, is going to also be broken down even further. There are a couple of things in life I do really, really well. I make excellent guacamole. All right, I'll give myself this. I write really good songs. I'm a crappy singer, but I write really good songs. And depending on the day, I can talk well sometimes. On days I'm not coughing. Does anybody in here care about a person who can speak well, write good songs, and makes incredible, unspeakably incredible guacamole? Nobody in here cares? Yeah, one person cares about that. Oh, and I'm smart too. I'm smart. There we go. Dope. So how valuable am I to her?
4.
I'm 4 of 4. Would recommend. How many of you care about 4 of those things? Dope. So I'm valuable to 5 of you now. Dope. How many of you care about 3 of those things? 2 of those things? 1 of those things? My point is that now you're valued to people depends on those aspects. And so now you have to try to find a way to make yourself meaningful to people instead of outside of yourself. It's a difficult proposition because now you find yourself in a world among people that you're not really appreciated by. And not that you should be, because people don't appreciate all of those things. Okay, So what we're seeking isn't necessarily a meaning of life because you can't find one, is what Campbell's getting at here. You can't find a meaning of life. What you can find is an experience. Today we eat, drink, because tomorrow we die. Today we jump out of an airplane, YOLO, right? Because tomorrow we die. Today we go to a concert, because tomorrow we die. Today we bless you, we get a cheap airline ticket, a red-eye flight to Paris, and we stay in a hostel, and we do a whole French vacation for $1,000, because tomorrow we die. I quit my job today, don't like it, because tomorrow we die. In other words, you're looking for experiences. Now there's this tendency in us to say, well, doesn't that kind of make it, doesn't that kind of make a fulfilling life? Well, not if you're this. You can understand that in all of these you're serving self. In this one you're not serving self. And then that becomes a tension. Because like with anything in life, with most things in life, you're either in or you're out. And if you're partially in, then that means that you're not all the way in. You're not doing anything that you're not getting the most out of that you could. And so, if you're going to go for power, you need to go for power. If you're going to procreate, that's what you need to do. And that means that your goal there is to find a partner who will make the best kids with you, because you want to perpetuate your species. If you have to establish your own meaning, there's still a little something in the back of your head that's going to say, yeah, but it's just the meaning I give it, just like a $10 million diamond. But if your goal instead is experience, I might just attach another one here, say Wilde. Oscar Wilde, that was his thing. Life is about experiences. Gain as many experiences as possible. Not because of the fruit of the experience, not because of what you get out of it, but just because of the experience itself. Why did you do that? For the experience. Why did you jump out of a plane? For the experience. By the way, why did you bang your elbow in the wall? For the experience. Because if a human is just a thing that exists in the physical world, that's its being, and then its job therefore almost seems to experience as much of the world as possible. Try every food that you can. Try every experience that you can. Are people going to judge you for the experiences that you try? Of course. But afterwards you've got a great story. But more than that, you have a great existence because you've done something that other people haven't done. You can go back, you can go experience it, come back and tell everybody about it. It doesn't mean you tell everybody about it, but you get the idea. I don't know if any of you know somebody like you talk about something that you've done in their life, and it's like they've done that, or they've done something like that because they sought out experience itself. It's not the fruit of the experience that matters, it's the experience itself. So I've done more in my life than almost anybody else. I've experienced more in my life than almost anybody else. And that's what a person can take to be a meaningful life. It all starts with that being and doing. Establishing first off an understanding of what it is for your life to matter and be meaningful. What's the purpose of it? And then building up a life on top of that. I'll tell you, truth, I lived a lot of my life that way. This is why I have so many experiences and I've done so much. There's a lot of joy from this. A lot of pain from this too, man. Because you're experiencing the whole gamut of human emotions. You aren't seeking just pleasure. It's not hedonistic. You're experiencing all of the human existence. Which means the heartbreak, which means you sit there and you take it, which means the suffering. You sit there and you internalize it. And if you've got a melancholy personality, man, you're in for a hell of a hard ride, man, with any of these. That's your being. So, I'm not even going to mention being and doing next period. I'm going to avoid this. Questions? Others? Yeah.
Be a mixture of both, like secular and religious.
It's very hard because the religious approach is love God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength. It doesn't say some of, doesn't say most of, doesn't say a bit of, all of.
Sorry.
Which makes sense, by the way, because if you are religious, if you believe that there's an afterlife, this makes sense. Oh, but I'm not going to have any fun in this life. What does it matter? It's over in an instant. It's the eternal that matters. Yeah, but it's that but that opens up the door. Versus the secular. Now you can believe in a God and live secularly. That's possible, of course. I'm just saying that, like when you see very very religious people, and you might think like, I don't understand them. Why are they so? Because you don't understand them. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. All I'm saying is understand them. They believe something. The Jehovah's Witnesses who show up at your house on Sunday mornings and wake you up. I mean, why are they doing it? Because they believe something. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying they believe something. There's something admirable about that. About people who believe something so deeply that they live by it. And that's something that's for a lot of us, it's hard to get our heads around. By the way, I'll also tell you that our inability to get our heads around that is part of the reason that we are at war with major parts of the world right now. It's an inability to look at for example, when you look at the pan-Islamic movement, and you've got like we look at like Islamic terrorism. Why is it that we have such a hard time getting our heads around Islamic terrorism? Because we don't understand how people can take a religion so seriously. Because in the West, we don't take religion seriously. So we refer to them as religious extremists. They're not, I mean, that's just another word for people who believe what their religion teaches. That's all. Well then, doesn't that make the world worse? No. If the whole world was Islamic, I wonder if it'd be worse or better. The whole world was Christian. The whole world was Hindu. I don't know. But we have a hard time understanding how people can take things so seriously because we just don't take things seriously because we are subjective in the West. For better or worse, we're going to find out. Has this made any sense whatsoever? I don't feel like it has, man.